Hip swash, da 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 dum, da 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 da. No, okay. Hi, my name is Minie. I'm a special needs mom based in Sydney, and my daughter wears a SWASH brace. I couldn't find much information on this brace on the internet, or the pros and cons, or the tips, the juicy advice for us parents. And so I'm going to create the video of everything you want or you need to know about the SWASH brace. We're gonna go through what is a SWASH brace, what it means for us in our case, the pros and cons, and lots of strategies that I implemented in the time that we've been using it for the past 2 months. First of all, I want to define what is a SWASH brace. SWASH is an acronym that stands for sitting, walking, and standing hip orthotic. The year was 1984, and it all started because of the parent of a special needs child. It was the father of a young girl with cerebral palsy who developed subluxation due to hip adduction, which is a very common problem with cerebral palsy. So basically, this hip brace was created to promote hip abduction, which would help with hip alignment, preventing scissoring gait, and giving an improved posture and many other benefits. So basically, this brace forces the hip to stabilize in all 3 planes of movement: sitting, standing, and walking. What I like is that it's still a functional brace, so it does allow movement while promoting a neutral position while walking and standing, but rotating into abduction while sitting. It has 3 parts: the pelvic band, or as I call it, the belt, thigh cuffs, and uprights. Now that I gave you a generic idea of what a SWASH brace is, let me tell you what the SWASH brace means for our family. Our daughter does not have cerebral palsy. She has Kabuki Syndrome, but she still has hip dysplasia and the risk of subluxation. Her hypotonia, her low muscle tone, doesn't help supporting the head of the femur staying in the socket and maturing the socket in a stabilized position. So if we don't do anything, she might face a couple of hip surgeries, one fairly soon when she turns around 3-4 years of age, and another one later on when she's 6 or 7. The SWASH brace was given to us in the hope that it could buy us some time and possibly avoid the first hip surgery, only to have one when she's around 6 or 7. And of course I said, count me in. All the chances that I can give to my daughter to avoid a surgery, definitely we're gonna take them. I also like the idea that this SWASH brace seems to improve the posture, as she was born with a hemivertebra. So I really welcome the idea of an early intervention on her posture, which might help with future chances of scoliosis. I'm also aware of the fact that the aluminum parts of the SWASH brace make it heavier than other braces. And our daughter has hypotonia, low muscle tone, and so I'm thinking maybe walking and moving so much for so many hours per day in this heavy brace maybe will improve her muscle tone and will get her even more fit than just walking without it. What I love the most about the SWASH brace is that it's a functional brace, so it still allows her to crawl, walk, stand, go around, explore the world while trying to help her hips. So let's talk about the pros and cons of the SWASH brace. I previously outlined already all the pros of this brace. It stabilizes the hips, it improves the posture, it promotes abduction, hip abduction, And I'm really hoping that indirectly it will increase our daughter's muscle tone in her lower body and around the spine. The cons are definitely outweighed by the benefits, but I think the families should know them in order to make the appropriate adjustments to their daily routine. Disadvantage number 1 of the SWASH brace. It's definitely heavier than other braces. Those that I know are rhino brace or pelvic harness, and definitely the SWASH brace is much heavier. So if your child has to stay in this brace for as long as possible throughout the day, and you know that you're going to rock your child or hold them or cuddle with them in wearing the brace for prolonged times throughout the day, my suggestion is to buy a hip seat, because otherwise chances are you're going to hurt your back. Disadvantage number 2. You might get lots of bruises on your forearms, especially at the beginning. I always joke about it, saying I got these bruises doing pole dancing, But seriously, invest in a hip seat, because that will help release some of the weight on the seat and not your arms. Disadvantage number 3. The aluminium of the uprights could actually scratch surfaces around the house, because your child is going to move around, right? And inadvertently, if they're close to a surface and they keep moving, they could scratch it. So my advice is to cover the uprights either with fabric or foam. I'm gonna try tennis grip tape. So definitely be mindful of that. Disadvantage number 4, the Velcro of the thigh cuffs might actually pull your tops, which is so annoying. So definitely try to cover it. I created a couple of sort of gloves for those Velcros so that they're removable. I can wash them and I can go back in the future and adjust the Velcro as my daughter grows. So you can't actually sew anything on it because you're gonna have to adjust the brace in time. Disadvantage number 5, the white caps of the uprights, of the end of the uprights, could actually fall off. So please ask your provider to give you a couple of spare caps, and my suggestion is not to glue them, because if you have to move around the thigh cuffs, they have to come off the uprights. So it's better not to glue those parts together indefinitely, but maybe find other ways. So now let's talk about strategies to cope with a hip brace like the SWASH brace. Hip braces are not funny. Not for the child that has to wear them for possibly months or even years, nor for their families. And yet the benefits of having a hip brace that could prevent a hip surgery are undeniable. So what should you do? My goal is always to find strategies that are fun, practical, productive. Here are the strategies I recommend to stay motivated and keep going with the hip brace. First, smooth implementation of the new brace. I created the acronym CHEST. The idea behind the acronym CHEST is that the more my husband and the support team around us know how to use this brace, the more this brace will be off my chest. C. Correct placing. In the case of the SWASH brace, you make sure that the pelvic band is actually sitting on the hips, so it's not up on the waist. The uprights have written L or R on them to recognize which one is the right or left, but you can actually see it if you sit on the side, whether the uprights are promoting a sitting position or not. So it will show you if it's correctly fit, and the thigh cuffs always have to be above the knee. H, hours, meaning time, you put it on. Time it. Because if you generically think, oh, my child has worn the brace most of the day, feels to you much less satisfying that, haha, today we scored 11 hours, yesterday we could only do 6 hours, maybe tomorrow we can do 13. E, entertainment and enjoyment. Entertainment means try to entertain your child and redirect their attention. Especially in the very first few days of wearing a new brace, they will be frustrated because it's annoying. So try to redirect their attention by inviting them to do new games, play along with them, entertain them as much as you can, and enjoyment. If at any point your child gets so unsettled that wearing the brace could actually be traumatic for them, just remove it. Talk about it with your orthopedic. But I think no specialist will tell you, yes, please create traumas to your child. Do it gradually. The first day you may try a couple of hours. The second day you will try to get your child to stay in the brace a few more hours, and so on. S, support. Whether your child was walking already before or not, at the beginning, they will still need to find their balance in that brace. So try to give them extra support. If your child is only sitting independently and not walking yet, with that brace, they might need a little bit of extra support while sitting. If your child, like mine, just started walking and then they were put in a brace and they were like, oh, just give them a walker for the very first days until they get back on their feet, literally. T, time you take it off. Always track how long has your child been in the brace for, which is actually my second strategy. Track your effort. It always helps me personally to measure my efforts, to measure my goals, to have something very, very specific, a number. And I have a couple of ideas in this strategy. The first one is what we're doing with the SWASH brace right now, which is a spreadsheet that I created to track every single day how many hours our daughter is staying in the brace, which accumulate with time. And I actually have the actual chart to see how much we are building up a massive amount of hours to show to our doctor at the next orthopedic visit. And so far we've done more than 600 hours, and that feels great. It gives me a lot of hope and a lot of motivation to try and hit 700, and maybe at the visit we'll have more than 1,000 hours in the brace. Come on, this must make some difference, right? A second strategy that I had with the previous brace, with Rhino brace, was tracking down again the number of hours and small lottery tickets, and every day I would put the lottery ticket of the day in this jar, in this glass jar. So day by day, week by week, I would see the jar getting more and more full of these lottery tickets that maybe would buy my daughter some freedom from braces and surgeries. And of course, my spreadsheet is downloadable for free on our website, so I'll put the link in the description. Maybe it helps you. Let me know. The third strategy that I recommend is make it fun. Whatever works for you and for your child, make it fun. I remember in our case, I decided, because at the beginning my daughter was quite skeptical with this new SWASH brace, I put a belly dance scarf on her and I told her, go walk around the house, and the color of it and the sound, the jingles that she was making around the house while walking, it was so funny, and it convinced her. Another strategy that might feel counterintuitive, but I promise it's not, is do not celebrate the time of the brace. Do not allow your child to feel the time you remove the brace as a reward. It's not. Wearing the brace has to be their new normal. It's a new habit. They just have to get used to it. It's hard, but it's not impossible. Another strategy is personalize the brace. Now, first ask your orthotic or orthopedic specialist if you can do it or if they will want the brace back. My previous experience with other braces was that they didn't want those braces back as they were a single person use. But you never know. You can always personalize the brace with things you can remove. Any laces, any ribbons, stickers, add colors, add fabrics, add jingles, add bells, anything compatible with your child's preferences and needs. It's actually made the whole bracing experience a lot more bearable for me to pimp my daughter's brace. Oh, what a trashy mama. Last strategy. In times of despair, try to remind yourself the why. Why is your child wearing a brace? Because the benefits could really, really outweigh the temporary sacrifice, the temporary overwhelm. See it this way. Yes, wearing a brace might take weeks or months, possibly years, but it's still better than a hip surgery. Consider that the hip surgery is not just the surgery itself and its risks, but it's also the recovery, all the pain, all those weeks spent in a cast. And after the cast, there might still be recovery time in another brace. So you might as well just try to give your child the best chances of avoiding a surgery, but most of all, avoid possible subluxation, dislocation, or chronic pain in adulthood. Let me know if you also have experience with the SWASH brace, because I haven't found any other families here in Sydney who have experienced this kind of brace. And most of all, please in your comments let me know if, thanks to the SWASH brace, your child could avoid surgery, because that would really help me, my family, and I'm sure lots and lots of other families. Thank you. Stay safe. Ciao.